Namaste. This is a short session to help you get started with the site https ashtadhyayi.com. Basically, this is a navigation session for beginners so that they can start using ashtadhyayi.com. A very, very simple overview. एनाक्षरसमाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। I'm extremely grateful to Dr. Soumya Krishnapur, who introduced me to this site a few years back. And of course, Vyoma Samskruta Pathashala, which is using this site very actively for its courses. And Sri Nilesh Bodas, who has spent so much of his personal time creating this site and also constantly enriching it. As a user, I've greatly benefited from this site and would therefore urge every beginner to use the site effectively, as it will actually greatly speed up the Sanskrit learning journey. It'll also make it very easy for a beginner. So this session covers the basics of navigating the site. The site is a treasure trove. It has so much more in it than what I'm going to be showing you now. But that needs to be unraveled layer by layer, and as one gets deeper and deeper into the study of Sanskritam. So this session is not meant for the shastra people or experts in Sanskrit language. This is only meant for beginners and also just to show them how to get started and how to move within this website. So basically this site, right, ashtadhyayi.com has the following areas: Sutra Pataha, Dhatu Pataha, Shabda Pataha, Koshan Meshaha, and Vyakhyan Meshaha, right? So we are actually going to now get into the site itself to see what is most important for beginners. We will definitely not be looking at Sutra Pataha and Vyakhyanan Veshaha, because these refer to the commentaries on Ashtadhyayi as well as the Ashtadhyayi itself. And for beginners, this is not relevant at this stage. So we'll now be seeing Dhatu Pataha, and we will be seeing within the site itself. So this is the site ashtadhyayi.com, and this is the landing page, right? And you would actually see Dhatu Pataha here, and this is what we are going to be seeing now. So you see that once you come into this Dhatu Pataha, you have all the dhatus listed one below the other, and it's in the order of the ganas, right? So you will see all the dhatus pertaining to Bhuvadigana first, etc., and you will go all the way up to 2200 odd dhatus. Everything is available in Dhatu Pataha. Now, how do we use this, right? One way of using this is you could actually go here and type in just simple English GAC, right? CHATI, which is, Gachati, right? Which is the Latlakara Prathama Purusha Ekavachanam form of Gam Dhatu, right? So you go here, it picks it up for you. So you can go here and then you see the entire Latlakara forms, Litlakara forms, Lut, Rit, everything one below the other. So you can traverse all the Lakaras. This is one way of getting into it by typing in English. If you can type in Sanskrit, you can also type directly in Sanskritam, which means you will get a more accurate hit here when you type Gachati, right? But you must remember that capital letters are different from small letters here because this is Sanskritam. So when you are typing, always take care that you start with a small letter because a small g represents g, whereas a capital G will take you to G, right? So that we need to take care and we have to be careful. So I thought it's better to warn you right at the beginning, right? Then how else can we use this? Suppose as a beginner, I would like to know, right? Okay, I'm hearing this word babhuva in. Then I actually type babhuva. So it will immediately fetch me the Kartari Litlakara form of Bhu, right? So I can figure out that it is actually Litlakara. Then using, the context, I can figure out whether it is Prathama Purusha Ekavachana or is it Uttama Purusha, etc. So that's other way of finding out. Now, the other aspect is that sometimes I see the word like patitavan, patitavati, etc., especially if I'm used to Samskrita Bharati's usage of tavatu pratyaya, etc. And I want to know what is the langlakara form, right? Then I just go and type here pat, right? And when I do that, I could always go to pat and then I go and search for the langlakara form. So I know I can use apatat in the place of patitavan. So this is another way of using it. This is very useful in the beginning stages, especially during pravesha and parichaya, because that is when we are not very sure of the lakaras and the dhatus, etc. At least the very commonly used ones. So these are some of the ways in which you can use it, and also I could use these filters very effectively. Suppose I want to say go to Rudadi Gana because it's a slightly rare Gana, right? I could go and filter this and then I get all the Rudadi Gana Dhatus here, one below the other. So this way what happens is I can go to Rudhir, right? And then I can actually see how the Litlakara forms of this particular Gana are. This is very useful when I have to kind of look at, a particular Gana because it is radically different from the other Ganas, right? So it is very useful that way, right? Then now if I want to say, this also has another good feature. Now if you want to go to a word list for a particular exam, say Chittur Vichakshana, right? We have that already. So you see that all of the dhatus which are required for this particular exam, they all come down one below the other. So I can use them one after the other. I can go and look at this and you will actually see that it has mostly Bhavadi Gana, but it also has other Ganas, right, all the way up to Churadi Gana. So very useful to, look at them one after the other repeatedly, right? The other area where it is very interesting is that suppose you want to see what are all the dhatus that you can use in the sense of say move. So you type move here, all of them come down one after the other, right? And then depending on the context, right? The contextual usage is also very important, but you can see that there is rak, there is at, right? So there is pand, right? Which is more like trembling. So you can see a lot of synonyms also, and as per the context, use it. For instance, read, right? So again, you will see pat, deeksh, right? So there are a lot of different words here which come up, right? So, so for speak, if you see there is gad, there is shach, there is punch, there is kuj, all of this, right? So now a little bit more, let's take a look at, say, what are the unique aspects that come up in, say, but the dhatu itself, within the dhatu itself, if you see, right? So you see that there is a tab which is Kartari, and then you see a tab which is Bhava Karmanoho. So these give you the Karmani forms of Pat. This is very, very useful because most beginner books do not give you the forms for all the dhatus, right, in the Karmani Prayoga. So here it's very useful for us to, quickly go and check Patyate, Patyate, Patyante, etc. So when you, especially when you're beginning to use in Karmani Prayoga, this really helps. Then as you move up, say to Shiksha and Kovida levels, or say Samskrita Patamala 3, 4, 5, etc., you will see that in you will get familiar with Sanantas, right? And Sananta, again, the forms, if you have to find them, you have to look for them in some 10 different books, right? So here it's very useful. You actually see Patitum Ichati is Pipatishati, right? So Pipatishati, Pipatishataha. So you will see these forms given here, and very useful when you have to look at it for something that you're not aware of at all, right? Like say, for instance, if you see gum, it will come up, the Sananta. And then the Nijanta, right? The causal form, right? So you will see that you have those forms also listed here, Patayati, Patayataha. And again, you will also see the other lakaras of this, which is very rare. You'll have to look through so many books to get this, right? And then, of course, the Kridantas, which are very, very useful when we, do the Krit Rupas, right? And it starts right in the first level, and because you start with Patitva, Patitum, etc. And then you see the Nul, Aniyar, all of these we get familiar as we go to Shiksha and to Kovida, and the Shatrishana Rupas also available and very, very useful. And the Itta, Patitaha, Patita, right? Patitavan, Patitavati, the Tavatu Rupas, all of them are available. And even more useful, I have personally found, is the Upasarga Arthaha, right? Now, if you take, say, let us take gum, right? This is something where you see a lot of upasargas and the meaning changing with the upasargas. So you see anu plus gum, anusaran karna, piche piche jana, right? So and then agam, ana, right? Avagam, which means understanding, janna, right? Then upagam, upagam, Durgam, right? Nirgam, all of this are Sangam, Sangachate, Sadjana, Milna, Ekatra Hona. So very useful to look at the Upasarga forms. And then we also have this Prayoga tab here, which is very useful, where most of these forms, right, wherever we see in the Shastras, they've been picked up and they've been listed here. So you can actually take a look at them, and we are still building it. So there may be some forms which are not available, but very interesting usages in the kavyas and the shastras have been listed here. So this is as far as the dhatu tab goes, and this is very useful. So you'll also see that here, if you go on the right side and you click, you can always go back to the mukha prishtam, the main one, right? And then you come, now that we've seen a quick look at Dhatu Pataha we have done. If you go to Shabda Pataha, right, this is also very, very useful. You see that especially when you're beginning to use in say make sentences, etc., you want to see the Saptami Vibhakti, Panchami Vibhakti, etc., and you want to start using them, right? So you go and find any of the shabdas which are very commonly used, you will find them here. Of course, sometimes, say, for instance, if you want to see Senani, right, then the easiest way is go and pick Ikaranta, right? So use this filter, pick Ikaranta, and then, of course, Gramani, Ikaranta Pullinga. So your Senani is like Senanihi, Senanyo, like that it will go, right? So you can see Gramani and then you can extend. So that way, if you see, you almost have every possible shabda, one type is definitely given. Or you want to just see the Pullinga shabdas, you can see that also. So this is very, very useful when you want to quickly say, you want to see Ramas, Panchami, Ramat, or Rame, or some very rare usages if you want. You can use them for that also, right? So it's very, very useful for quickly referring to Shabdas and the Vibhakti Rupas, right? All of them are here. And also sometimes you want to see the all the Shabdas which are ending in, say, Aukaranta. Then you can quickly go and see Glau, Jana, all of them come up. So you can see one in Pullinga, Strilinga, and Napunsakalinga. You can quickly compare to see how each one is different, etc. Very useful. Now the third aspect, right, of the navigation that I wanted to show you is Koshan Meshaha, which is also very, very useful, which is actually the dictionaries, right? So again, the advantage of using this Koshan Meshaha is you have a combination of dictionaries available here. Unlike, say, Sanskrit dictionary, spoken Sanskrit dictionary, etc., where you have just one, and that also is, some translation. Here you actually get the originals. So if you see Devaha, right? So you see the Amara Kosha itself getting pulled up here, the first Devaha, right? So Amara, Nirjara, Devas, Tridasha, Vibhudaha, Suraha, very useful. The Moolam itself comes up here. And then you also see that you have right? If you take Deva, it pulls up from Shabda Kalpadrumaha, the full entire, explanation from Vachaspatyam also. And you also have, say, Apte's dictionary where you can go and check what is the meaning of Deva. So it's very comprehensive and it's very useful, especially when you want to look at the Nishpatti. You want to know whether it's formed with Gai, or you want to find out whether it is a Aitwa or Tumun, whatever, or if it's an Ikta, right? So all of this you can find out by typing here and then just exploring a little bit. So the Koshan Meshaha is in a way very useful, especially when you don't know the meaning of words, and also when you want to locate the Nishpatti, or the origin, as we call it, right? So you want, or the source, you want to know by which pratyaya it is formed, etc. Right? So for instance, if you say type bhakti, right? So you will be able to know that it's striling, and then you striling a word, and then bhajyate iti, and bhaja plus tin. So you will be able to know exactly how it is formed, also which pratyaya is used, etc. May not be needed initially, but this is also something that you will need very soon. So basically, when you go to the Mukha Prishtam, you see all of these. So Dhatu Pataha, Shabda Pataha, and Koshan Meshaha is what we would be using much as a beginner. Once we get into, say, Paniniya Vyakarana, then this Sutra Pataha, right, becomes very, very useful, as well as our Vyakhyas become very useful, right? All the Vyakhyas are available here. It is very, very useful. Now, just to show you briefly how it all links up is, if you take the dhatus, I did not ask you to click any of these. If you actually go and click this, the entire prakriya will come up, which is from the sutras, how the dhatu and the actual kriya and the lakara is formed, right? That entire prakriya will come up. And similarly, if you go to Shabda Pataha, right, and go and click, say, within Rama Shabda, if you go and click, say, Ramaha, that prakriya would come up. This is, of course, for students of Vyakarana Shastra who are interested in, understanding the prakriya, etc. Otherwise, for now, for beginners, it is enough if you go through Dhatu Pataha, Shabda Pataha, and Koshan Meshaha. If you have any questions or doubts, do feel free to reach me at sivaraman.rama@gmail.com. Thank you very much. I hope this benefited you.